All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so as I was saying, Avid, what is Avid? I'll wait for a second until everybody gets settled. Thank you. So Avid is a program we have in our school. We're at Avid School, and the mission of Avid is to close the opportunity gap by preparing all students for college readiness and success in a global society. So you read that and you're thinking, yes, we have a program in school. One more thing. And in addition to that, Mr. Pacheco is here probably to tell us one more thing that he's going to add to our plate. So, it is true. I'm going to show you one more strategy that Avid has to offer you. But you don't have, I mean, it's probably something that you already are doing, and you just don't call it Avid or an Avid strategy, but you probably are really doing it. And if you're doing it, not doing it at all, I hope I can encourage you. Because, so, I went to the Avid training during the summer, and it was a one-day, the one training that I went to, and they brought 10 students from elementary, middle school, and high school, so they can share with the teachers that we were there, and the principals that were there, about how Avid has been beneficial to them. They were these little kids from elementary. I'm not used to seeing little kids in these type of settings, and these kids were talking about, I come from a rough background, and it was rough. The stories that they were telling were rough. Rough background, and so there was not any other place where they can learn how to be organized but in the Avid classroom. And everybody that was there, and I'm not exaggerating, I was crying. I don't cry. I'm like very non-sensitive. I'm not emotional. And I was crying because it broke my heart to see that some of our students that come to our Title I schools, those kids come from rough backgrounds, and you may or may not know where they come from, but they might not have the resources or the opportunities to learn things that we learn otherwise. Does that make sense? Like how to keep an agenda or keep organized. Like I remember when I was growing up, I had to learn how to be organized with an agenda. And as I got married, I have to be organized and learn how to file my taxes and keep my bills and stuff like that. Some of our students don't have anybody or anything else but the teachers in the classroom that will teach them how to do that. So yes, we work in a school that has students that have high needs. This is a high needs school. So when we talk about the strategies that Avid provide, don't think about it. I'm hoping that you can see with a lens of what is it that we can do to support that one kid that comes with a backpack full of garbage and papers, crumble up inside of there. How can if I can just do one strategy to help this kid learn how to be organized, you're doing a fantastic job. You know what I mean? It's just that one kid who can't do it.
If you just were at the clinic and maybe you got your shot or whatever, did you pick up one of the nurses' cell phones by accident? One of the nurses, her cell phone's missing. She's right out there. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
I'm so sorry for that.
Not a problem.
Okay, Trina.
All right. So anyway, so that's what Avid is. And last Wednesday, last time we had this training, we talked about the 5 note-taking process. And I think that the most important thing that we got from this is that we realized that not all our students know how to take notes. You cannot expect to say, hey guys, today we're gonna do this worksheet, and you give the same worksheet to everybody, and it's like, start taking notes, here's what we're gonna do. We know that that's not gonna be effective and efficient to all students, except if you have an AP class or something like that, then it might be the case, but the majority of you will have a variety of students in your classroom, and you have to provide differentiation for them, right? So we talk about the different type of note-taking formats that we use, and coordinate notes and graphic organizing, so we talk about that. But today's question is, how can I effectively use Avid resources to increase organizational skills of my students? So I'm just going to talk about one skill, one activity that Avid encourages us to use, and I'm going to go sidetrack a couple times about what Avid does and compared to what we do. But let's talk about in itself, what is it that we want the students to learn or have? What skills do we want them to have? So the kids need to have the organizational tools, right? They need to have a backpack, a folder, a notebook, stuff that they need so they can keep track of the things that they're learning. And in our school, we have given them a laptop. I mean, when in my days, I ever imagined somebody handed me a laptop. I mean, that was just blows my mind. But we have the resources. If you go to the coach's office, whatever we have there is to support you and for you supporting the student. And then in the process, we want the students to also have the skills to know what to do with that stuff. You know, not just get a worksheet, fill it out, and put it in a backpack and get all rumpled up. It's like we need to have some strategies that we want to teach them so they can have that organizational skills. And that's going to lead to organizational systems and organizational routines in the classroom and all of these things. So we want to prepare the students to have the skills to be organized, not just by taking notes in a binder or something. We want them to be organized for life, right? Like when they graduate, can you pay your bills? Can you file your taxes? Can you be organized enough to, keep track of an interview that you have? Those are skills we want the kids to learn. So it's not just binders and stuff like that. So I was preparing this with Avid, and it's easy because Avid gave me the PowerPoint. I don't have to do it. It was really cool. They give me the stuff, and not only they give me that, they give me a script of stuff that I have to say. But I have to stop here, and then I talk to my two co-workers, Ms. Christian and Dr. Apollo, and say, hey, look, I'm working on this. What do you guys think about this? And we started talking about, as a school, what systems do we have that models organizational skills for students? As a school. Now, in the classroom, what organizational skills do we model the students so they learn how to take notes on how to be organized in their life? So what are we doing as adults to show the kids that they need to be organized? Do we have the strategies and the skills also to model that? And those are the questions that I started. So I just got sidetracked because of that. And then I said, well, how do we model that? We asked that question, and then we started thinking about that. What do you guys think are the systems that we have as a school for organization that we can model to our students? We have lanyards.
Do specific areas in the school for like advertise for ongoing events?
So we're talking about the kids being organized, right? If you were a student in South Cobb High School, you will say, like, South Cobb does this, they have these routines and these systems in place, and I want to learn how to be organized because I see this happening often. Does that make sense? Or in your classroom, what systems, what routines do you have that allows the students to be organized as well, that models that? So we have CTLS as a tool that can be used for organization. We have interactive notebooks. Yes, we have that. What else? Okay, so let me just show you real quick. These are systems that we have in place. And they're mandated. It's just something that we have to do, right? We have to have our learning targets posted, we have our openings, we have our work session, and we have our closing. Believe it or not, all these things will teach students organization, model the students how to have organization skills too. But I don't know. What do you believe about that? So what I would like to know is, what do you believe? Could you please, in your little sticky notes, could you label it 1 if you don't think it's important, and a 10 if you think it's very important to use any of these things as a tool for engaging the students in academic success through organization. Does that make sense? My emphasis is on organization, teaching the students to be organized. Are we modeling organization by having learning targets? Are we modeling the students how to be organized and learn by doing a closing? Or having the time to do a closing? Because how many of you are teaching and they're like, oh my goodness, it's time to go, there's no time to finish. This is how model organizational skills to the students. Yes?
What if we agree with one and not the other?
But you don't have to agree with all of them. You just put, so there are 4 arrows back there. I'm sorry, I should have said that. One, I know. I have a continuum here for closing, work session, opening. The one in yellow that you cannot read at this one fall is the learning target. So just place one sticky note in each one of those, if you don't mind, and you have a couple minutes to do that. Thank you.
I'm with you.
I got it.
Okay.
There you go. That's how it's done.
You short my whole life, I know. That's like Olympic youth money right there.
Okay, so thank you for putting your name on there.
All right, that stands out.
Most organizations
I put it on it, girl. I put you, girl.
I got you.
Can you put mine up there?
about it now.
I think that's what we're supposed to do. Work.
Yeah, we're just supposed to put look out there and
Oh, yeah, I know, but nobody will help me. It's sad. It's sad. I'm Denver.
you gotta get together.
Okay, so I can go. That's why I need to drop my foot off. It was a chick. I said, it's through when it comes to this is how.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate your cooperation.
I'll fly this. Yeah, it don't matter what it is. Because tomorrow we just finish up. We doing rational functions. So we just finish up rational today.
Right.
So we just doing rational. I don't know why, but I know since we just
Hit or miss. Usually it's hit or miss.
on your, you can use the alley, jump, I say, but the normal for the stat, yeah, hit it. All this
What's going on, guys? It's good to see you. You going home from this week? No. I'm gonna try to drive down there Saturday.
All right.
It should be fun though. I'm not tall enough.
no, I didn't, they almost prepared something.
Check one. I don't know why you thought it was a
All
good
right.
idea.
Well, thank you
I
guys
don't
for
know
the
how to
time.
behave.
Well, one thing I noticed that I didn't notice before is that there is actually a negative in our continuum with the learning targets. There was a lot of ones below the one. Below the, so, okay, so let's reflect about this. I can see that learning targets. So let me see if I reword this. So what I see there is that a lot of us believe that the learning targets are not helping the students to develop the skills to be organized. All right? And I also see that the closing is there, not so much a work session. The closing and opening are there. So a few comments. What do you guys think? What do you guys think that is the trend for the learning targets? I'm sorry? Okay, so she's saying we can have the learning targets in the opening. Yes?
But learning targets is more for us for organization, not for students.
So you think it's more for our organization than for the students? They don't read the learning targets, is what you're saying? Okay. So, but do they know what the learning targets are? Let me make a little disclosure here. So I was asking one of these PD trainings that, so what do you do as an academic coach? And I just want to clarify that for this type of thing, one of my role as an academic coach, and as well as Ms. Christian and Dr. Aquila, is that we are your outside ears and eyes of the classroom. Like, if you feel like in any of these areas you want to be observed just to give you feedback, you might not know. Maybe your kids are getting the learning targets and they are getting it, that you just don't see it. Or something's happening in the classroom, you want that outside set of eyes and ears, we can be that. And it's confidential. We don't have to tell anybody about our conversation unless you're doing something outrageously wrong. But other than that, it's something that it's just to have that person to have that feedback. And that's part of what we do as academic coaches. Yes?
From my experience for my kids, yes, they know what the learning targets are. They feel like it's one more thing that they have to do and memorize, and they think it's stupid because they're like, yes, I know what we're learning today, you told me in the opening.
And that's where they're supposed to be. In the opening, we're supposed to have learning targets.
Another thing is, it's like I can write a learning target sentence, but it really feels like it would be a test day. Every time I'm trying to teach them something new, I'm always working on like 20 things. So during my lesson, it might not even reflect the learning target. So I'm also like, and what about this? And what about this? And we're always trying to build understanding on a bunch of things at once. So I would think that, at least for me, that's one reason why that one would be much lower than the others.
Okay.
Is because it's a target, and I actually don't want to mislead students to think that's my only goal for the day.
Okay.
I have a bunch of goals.
Okay.
And we're always trying to get better at all of them. So I feel like it kind of simplifies what my lesson is, and I want students to know we're on like a continuum of learning on a bunch of targets all the time. So I might as well just have my standards posted up. And like give us, like a thermometer about how we're doing on all these 100 standards, and we're always trying to improve all of them. So I feel like it's almost too simplistic, and I want my students to get better at a bunch of things, not just that one thing that way.
And I agree with you, and I think, but you see, what you're describing is your own organizational skills that you can model to them.
But I don't want them to hone in on one thing.
Right, so is there something that we can do, and that's what I'm going to show you in a minute from now, once I get back from my sidetrack that I have, is we can use that with an interactive notebook. We can build those skills, we can show those learning targets, how they're being built, so the students know really what they're supposed to learn, right? So in the opening, we want the students to be able to say, we're learning to, this is what we're learning. And then in the work session, we can show what we're learning and how we can show it. And this is important too because, and then that's where we find the relevance of what we're trying to teach, correct? And then we have it closely so the students can reflect on what they're learning. So these systems that we have at the school and in our classrooms can be used as a model of organization. And there are many ways that we can do that. One way is, we've been told, is just we have to put the learning targets out in the work. Fine, there are many other learning targets, and we can find other ways to do that, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. Let me go back and track with the app. So, interactive notebooks. What is an interactive notebook? An interactive notebook right now looks very different today than it used to look 10 years ago. These are the interactive notebooks that I have examples of from one of our science classes. This is Ms. Harrison's interactive notebook. She's not currently using it this semester, but she has used it in other semester. And what she does is that she presents all her information. She describes a little bit of her life in here to the students so they know who she is. She also starts with not only worksheets, but notes that she wants the students to have. She has an index that refers to all the information that they're going to learn, and she actually numbers it. So she has a number in every activity, so she can keep track of what activities she's learning, she's going to teach throughout the semester. And this is the notebook from one of our students, or in the past, third part, Ms. Harrison. And the student just did that. She has information there, she took her notes, she has her graphs in there, and that's where Ms. Harrison provides her feedback. So, another example is a more simplistic notebook, interactive notebook, where you have a portfolio checklist. Instead of having an index, you have your portfolio that you can have the students follow along and keep track of their using. Another way, and going back to what Ms. Chucky was saying, is there are teachers that write the learning target for the unit. They have all the learning targets for the unit right here, and they put a check mark on the ones that they have done. And you can go even beyond that. You can assess that by asking the student, did I master this? Yes or no. It's just as simple as that, where they can put a check mark whether they're learning or they didn't learn. So that interaction between them and what they are learning is important. And it's a form of organization. Now, all of this can be replaced with something more virtual, like CTLS. And I'm saying that because I know that there are teachers right now that are using CTLS as an interactive notebook. The cool thing about this is that you can differentiate. You can have an interactive notebook for one student that is different than another student, and they don't even need to know what stuff they have in each other's notebooks. Does that make sense? And that way you can differentiate, and what you want the student to read a paragraph, you want the other students to just fill in the blanks because you're providing the information because the reading levels are not the same. And that's how we differentiate using these interactive notebooks. So the learning targets, are those a good tool in terms of using interactive notebooks? It is absolutely a great tool. Not only because I'm not saying that because we have to do it, but I do believe that it's something that the students need to know what they are learning, and they also can find out if this is something that I have to learn in the future. I need to know how to interact with my notes. What am I doing this? What is my target? What is the goal that I'm pursuing? And then they have to have that in their agenda, notes, or Outlook, whatever it is that they're using. Okay, questions about that? No? Okay, so this interactive notebook has evolved. So remember those days, you put a binder there, and you have all these things in there. And like I said, some people are using CTLS, some people are using other online things. But if you're still using the pen and paper, which is still a great idea, you have the resources in our office. You have highlighters, you have paper. We bought bulks of paper with 3-hole punch, so you can create those binders for the students. So when you come to our office, you see we have a lot of paper. We have white paper. It's not for photocopies. It has 3-hole punch, so you can actually have the students do stuff and keep it in their notes. But what is important about these interactive notebooks is that it has to have a table of contents. The students have to they need to be able to identify what is in there and find it, all right? Page numbering, the different outputs, and those sort of things. So, I'm gonna skip to this one. So in your CCC, I know that there are different departments in here, but in your CCC, it would be a good idea to have that discussion. How can we support the students who are just not able to keep track of their papers? Open their backpack and all stuff is in there, the worksheet. How can we support that? Do we need to do it for all students? Do we need to do it for one class? Do we need to do it all as a CCC? That's something you can decide as a CCC. But if only one student learn how to take notes and learn how to be organized, we've done a great job, I believe. I mean, we obviously want many of our students to be organized. But I just leave that in there for you guys to decide in your CCC as you collaborate. I started by telling you how Avid is a program, and it was very emotional for me to hear the students work on these things. It is real. It's not just another thing, another thing that they're putting in your plate. It's not that. It's really actually reaching out to students, and these are real students with real stories of how Avid has been successful. All right, so to end this, I just want to leave you with the OneNote. I published this OneNote. I shared with you guys in our last Wicor Wednesday, and I added, if you click on the tab where it says Wicor Wednesday, the PowerPoint will be there. There will be more resources about how to keep an interactive notebook, and if you need more, if you have questions on how to do it, or if you want to talk more about interactive notebooks, please let me know. But this page, this one page here, is a Word document. that Word document has all the activities, or a lot of the activities that Wicor suggests to do. So for the organization part, if you don't want to do interactive notebook, but other ones like time management, you can click on it, right? So you have to hit Control click, and it will open the link and it will send you there. Okay? So again, if you have any questions or you need more resources, do let me know. Thank you. You see, I ended before time.
Please make sure to sign in if you didn't sign in.
Hey.